Welcome back to another DIY Squaredrop camper build. This is part 26. The painting job. The beautiful mural by my buddy Sean Matchoff. Look at this gloriousness. I will show you all the up close and Easter eggs at the end of the video, but for now, let's see how we got there. In this video, it's going to be showing the priming, which was done by me and my lovely wife, as you can see here. And following that is a lot of hours of painting by Sean. So we're going to speed everything up to about 100 times speed so that this video isn't 6 hours long, because he spent several days doing all of this. In this video, I'm not going to be talking much. Just wanted to do the intro real quick. Remind you to like and subscribe. This camper's almost done. But in this video, towards the end, I'll come back to chat and explain all the little Easter eggs and stuff he put in there for us. Some were asked for, but most he just decided to do because he just knows Meredith and myself quite a lot. So, let's start with him drawing it out, and then you can start to see him painting. So welcome back towards the end of the video, and enjoy the fast 100 times speed mural of this gloriousness. you can see, Sean is wrapping it up. What a fantastic job he did on this camper. I am so happy. And let's get into the finale shots. So here's another just quick little loop around. Just so you can see just all the detail he put into this and just how amazing this is going to look. I mean, when you're just driving down the freeway and you see something like this, I mean, come on, what are you going to say? You're just going to be like, what the hell, that's amazing. So remember, like and subscribe, please. I'm almost to 500 subscribers. I'd love to hit that. So as you can see here, first we have a little Michael Myers. My wife is a horror aficionado. We have the Eye of Sauron. We have David from Schitt's Creek there hiding behind that little tree. And of course on the back, you've all seen The Night Before Christmas. My wife and I love that movie. You can see a little Pennywise sticking his head out. A little LA Dodgers, and on all the rocks, there's all the years that they won the World Series. I am a Dodger fan. Sorry, not sorry. And then as we go in here, we're going to pan into a little Jason mask, which is also for my wife, being the horror fan that she is. And then last but not least, we have a little Ewok here next to the mirror, or excuse me, next to the window. So thanks so much for watching. We'll be back with the rest of this camper on the next video. Bye-bye.